In Bosnia, December 1995, the NATO peacekeeping mission is in its final stages. The withdrawal of NATO forces should be complete by New Year's Day, yet even as the conflict winds down in Bosnia, the U.S. military remains at readiness, eager to answer the call. On board the USS Carl Vinson, somewhere in the Adriatic Sea, U.S. Navy Naval Flight Officer Lieutenant Chris Burnett and pilot Lieutenant Jeremy Stackhouse, stationed on the aircraft carrier, are assigned on a reconnaissance mission, despite Lieutenant Burnett's resignation letter brought before Admiral Leslie Reigert, commander of the Adriatic Battle Group. Jeremy thought Burnett was kidding about getting out. Burnett is his navigator but now quitting. The two prepare to zoom off on the mission, and for Burnett, it's his last mission in the Navy. They take off from the aircraft carrier, cruising through the sky on what's supposed to be a routine flyby. However, during the mission they take a detour off their actual route into the demilitarized zone where no activity is allowed. Something is spotted on the scope of their radar, and they get curious to discover exactly what it is. Having entered into the zone, they notice suspicious activities in which armed factions are not allowed to engage in military activity. Flying their F-18 Hornet, they get a closer look at the target and begin to take photograph of it from above, completely unaware that they photographed mass graves. The Serbs in the area are alerted, having seen their jet. It so happens that the local Bosnian Serb army commander, General Miroslav Lokar, is conducting a quiet genocidal campaign against the Muslim population in the area. To avoid exposure of their activities, he orders the jet to be shot down. Immediately, several missiles are fired at Burnett and Jeremy's jet. Despite their skills and dexterity trying to outmaneuver the missiles shot at them, their aircraft takes a hit, forcing both men to eject as the remains of the craft disperses all over the area. The admiral is notified of the incident, and they chart their course to discover that the men went off course and ejected in a restricted area. A short while after crashing, the men locate each other again, and they observe that they are in the mountains north of Mishevich, worried that the rebels saw them eject and the cost of the jet they just crashed. Burnett goes off to get a higher ground, leaving the injured Jeremy behind. A while later, an entire squad of the local army heads towards Jeremy's location, and he is surrounded as Burnett watches from the woods. A Serb patrol officer arrives and begins to interrogate him. Unable to get anything substantial from Jeremy, they leave, except Sasha, a tracker who executes Jeremy, as Burnett screams in horror, unintentionally giving his location away. The Serbs open heavy fire at Burnett, who begins to escape until he gets to a high ground where he is able to communicate with the aircraft carrier. He speaks with the admiral, informing him of what happened, and is ordered to move to a designated location where he would be extracted, wanting Burnett dead as well. Lokar instructs Sasha, his right-hand man, and his second-in-command, Colonel Bazda, to find him. Meanwhile, Admiral Piquet visits Admiral Leslie, asking him to stop his rescue operations, citing that any attempt to rescue the navigator in the no-fly zone could hamper or destroy the peace process. Sasha gets his eyes on Burnett and opens fire with a sniper, but the navigator manages to escape to the rendezvous point only for the admiral to inform him that he must move to another safer location miles away and outside the demilitarized zone. At first, Burnett refuses to go there, but then Leslie persuades him to make the move. Still on call with the admiral, Burnett is found again and loses his signal in the process, causing the carrier to track him using their satellite. The patrol led by Bazda continues to search for him, while the admiral tracks Burnett's radio signal to a particular radius far away but certainly where the transmission came from. Using the satellite to get a heat image of the area, Burnett's team is able to closely monitor their guy as he falls into a ditch of mass graves dug by the Serbs. On their arrival, they see the dead bodies, and it's an awfully disgusting sight. Then flashbacks of how they murdered innocent women and children is displayed. An instruction is given for the soldiers to go into the ditch to ensure that Burnett is not hiding amongst the bodies. The admiral and his team can only see heat signals on the radar and wonder why Burnett is not moving while the soldiers are. After thorough search is conducted and they leave, Burnett rises from the mud of bodies and begins to head out to safety. He is immediately spotted by the admiral's team. The admiral wants information as to who is chasing Burnett and why. The incident goes on the news as Burnett is feared dead. his father is informed of his situation. Still unaware of who shot the F-18 down, it remains a fact that the Serbs control most of southern Bosnia, and it is unknown the level of impact this will have on NATO's withdrawal. Things are now complicated. The Serbs are now in possession of the camera from the crashed jet, but without a film in it. Admiral Piqué is furious at Leslie for going to report the situation to the media. Leslie doesn't seem to understand Piqué's exact problem with this. The men exchange tough words at each other, after which Piqué walks away. Burnett is now at an old abandoned factory rigged with multiple mines, but unknown to him. A few moments later, he discovers that the place is rigged, and just up front the Serbs identify and begin to chase him, forcing Burnett to navigate the extremely dangerous minefield as it explodes, killing his pursuers one after the other as each mine triggers another and another, causing massive disruptions, but Burnett is able to escape the scene. He gets to safety and reports that he is on course with their last instructions. Burnett is told to get himself 5 clicks east to the sweet spot. It's an open area near a small town, and well inside the safe zone. Admiral Leslie and his men prep to go on the rescue but are interrupted by Piqué, who brings in a colonel to join their team. He challenges Leslie's authority, causing him to stand down based on instructions from his superior. Sasha has been following Burnett's trail, and this time Burnett manages to stop a truck and is recognized as a pilot, then assisted out of the area. They happen to be Muslim guerrillas rebelling against the Serbs. Sasha gives up Burnett's intended destination. The guerrillas inform Burnett that they are heading to Hack, a small town which is located within the safe zone, but later it turns out to be a war zone which the Serbs are fighting to take control of. Their vehicle crashes and a battle begins as Burnett is taken to safety by one of them. He meets the resistance, and they recognize him as the man from the TV. Lokar has hunted these villagers for long now, and they live in fear. They discovered from Burnett that Lokar killed their people and buried them up the hills, which Burnett confirms. Burnett is being interrogated by one of them as he pleads to be on their side. The man doesn't seem to like the American government, so he kicks Burnett out into an incoming shot from a tank. The Serbs infiltrate the area, taking out the Muslims until the troop finds Burnett's body, unknown to them that he switched uniforms with a dead Serb soldier and escaped Hack with Babic, the young boy among the group who rescued him from Sasha. However, the remaining Muslims are rounded up, and the Serbs discover that Burnett is still alive thanks to Sasha, who uses the mark on the body of the dead Serb soldier to discern alongside his own that Burnett tricked them and escaped. The rescue team is airborne as the Admiral and his team watches. Meanwhile, Burnett and Babic race towards the meeting point. Suddenly, Admiral Leslie gets a call from Piqué that Burnett is dead, and this goes fast into the news as the Serbs falsely announce Burnett's death, accusing the Muslim guerrillas of the act. This causes the rescue helicopter to be called back before it could descend, leaving the very much alive Burnett behind despite gunshots to draw their attention. There is panic on board the aircraft carrier, as they believe that they killed Burnett, and they did nothing about it. The disappointed Burnett notices an angel statue that he parachuted down nearby, as this is where his ejection seat landed. Lokar instructs Sasha to find Burnett and shoot him in the head. Burnett parts ways with Babic and heads towards the statue in order to give a signal to his team that he is still alive, as well as obtain evidence of Lokar's crimes, which is located on a hard drive attached to the ejection seat. This area is surrounded by ice and could break with much pressure. He arrives at the seat and reactivates the rescue beacon, sending signal to the aircraft carrier, and also alerting the Serbs to his location as well. Admiral Leslie prepares a task force despite knowing that this could relieve him of his command of the vessel. On the route to Burnett's location, Bazda, who was sent with Sasha to kill Burnett, steps on a landmine, forcing Sasha to leave him behind to die. Burnett is alerted by the explosion as Sasha takes position and finds Burnett hiding behind the ejection seat. After hearing approaching American helicopters coming to rescue Burnett, he makes his way to the seat, but realizes that it was a trick to get him out. Burnett immediately engages Sasha in a hand-to-hand fight until Burnett stabs Sasha with a flare, killing him instantly. The Serbs arrive at the rendezvous point with armored personnel carriers and infantry, who open fire at Burnett as he runs towards the statue. In a minute, the helicopters of the U.S. Marine Corps led by Admiral Leslie arrive, opening fire on the Serbs and lighting up the area as Burnett runs back to the ejection chair to retrieve the hard drive, after which he gets into the helicopter. Then the task force successfully withdraws back to the aircraft carrier, where Burnett receives a warm applause after getting off the helicopter. Finally, the evidence of Lokar's war crimes put him on trial. Admiral Leslie is relieved of his command of the carrier and is offered a desk job in Washington, D.C., but chooses to retire with the respect of the sailors for their sacrifices in recovering Burnett, who later decides to remain in the Navy. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on new content. Thanks for watching.